Y'all probably say, where exactly are you going with this? I see you really trying to take it there. Old school flows chew you out, ain't fair. Jordan pants don't...
Yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boys back at you outside. But anyways, man, look, before I even get into it, I wanted to talk about, shout out to all the homies, shout out to all the real ones, Bloods, Crips, whatever, it don't matter. If you're a real one, shout out to you. And that doesn't necessarily mean a real one has to be a gangbanger or somebody on the street thugging it. The real ones are also the ones holding down a 9-to-5 job, and not even holding down a 9-to-5 job, those even trying to get a job and don't let anything get in their way. The ones that handle their business with their family, so on and so forth. So you get what I'm saying when I say a real one, a motherfucker that's a real stand-up guy. Matter you gangbanging or you just a regular dude on the street trying to handle your business. But what I want to get into today is something that I find serious, because I see a lot of it on the internet as far as like in my DMs and other people's DMs, and then they send me screenshots of other people's DMs, and it's just it's one of those things like that I think is serious, and that's paperwork. You know what I mean? A lot of people, what people don't understand is that in some cases, paperwork could get you twisted, because not everybody that they say they have paperwork on actually have paperwork. A lot of it is just people talking out their mouth. And don't never underestimate the fact of any cop fabricating anything, because on a lot of things that have turned out to be bullshit, there was never no signing of any paper from anybody, but just due to the fact that the cop said that certain people said certain things, they end up getting caught up. And a lot of people tend to go off that. See, back in the days, you couldn't really say, it wasn't even that you couldn't say, it's just you didn't say. You would never say there's paperwork on somebody without actually seeing it yourself. And if you did hear there was paperwork and you felt strong enough about it, then you handled your business. But understand, at the end of the day, if you did something and it wasn't justifiable and shit turned out to be bullshit, then you in turn end up getting twisted in the game and we're no longer the wolf and turned out to be the sheep. You know what I mean? It's like, it's basically don't say nothing about anybody else without real paperwork. And that's not even to really like try to downplay anything. That's just basically telling motherfuckers that they need to think more with their brain instead of just going off raw emotions. I'll tell you, prime example, I think it was somewhere in 2000 or 2001, 2002, whatever, before I took off to the pen. You know, when you've been busted for a long time in the county jail, you get that itch to always want to do something. And I had that itch. And one of my homies drove up, and he was a pretty good homie. We had our little issues, but for the most part, he was a pretty good homie from my neighborhood. But somebody said something about him along the lines that he checked in somewhere else. And instead of just going off, you know what I mean, what I've learned, and that's to, you know, find out, I chose to go off impulse, and it almost ended in my homie losing his life. And it was one of those things like, if this dude comes down here, if this dude comes down here and he says this, you're going to get got. See, what I didn't pay attention to is the fact anybody could say anything, especially those that feel like they're in a position of power and can get away with it. See, I didn't pay attention to that. I've had enough glass shot to know when fools are trying to twist somebody else. Turn out shit was jealousy, and I called that fool out, you know what I mean? But of course, you know, when people are in certain positions, they tend to, you know, he wasn't able to be dealt with at that time. But in the future, I heard a lot of things happen to this particular cat. But like I said, I'm not here to expose anything. I'm just saying that cats need to use their first mind. And a lot of paperwork that's out on the street right now is fabricated. It has no signature. It has nothing. There's no signed affidavit on nobody. It's just a cop putting little bits and pieces on people, and then they figure they got them. It's like you see like an informant on the street. You know how you see the movies and the cops tell, hey, if you don't say this or you try to do this, we're just gonna tell somebody that you did this. And the way shit work is a lot of people don't use their first mind. They tend to go off whatever they hear. There's people that don't even go off paperwork. It's just fucking hearsay. Oh, I heard this fool did this, so they go to knock this fool down. And that's what I'm trying to prevent, because a lot of fools this year and years after that are going to fall victim to the same thing, because they're never going to question it. All they'll hear is something on their homeboy, and they'll react to it, take this fool's life, and then end up in jail for the rest of their life off some bullshit that really didn't even exist. And that's the thing. That's the one thing I need to drill into motherfuckers' mind, is to pay attention. And the reason I made this video is not necessarily a deterrent, because everybody is going to choose to do what they want to do. It's just one of those things that I get tired of people saying, yeah, I heard this fool got paperwork. For one, you should never do that. You know what I mean? Because you never know who you're talking. You never know who a particular individual talk to. I could be friends with this motherfucker, didn't like that you said this, and go tell him, hey, this fool said that he heard there's paperwork on you. All that's going to do is start a chain of events. This fool, if he's about anything, he's going to turn around and get this motherfucker. Then, oh, well, how did... And then people do their investigation. Well, how did this fool find out? Oh, well, this fool Zod told this fool because, you know what I mean, he was cool with him. Now, the fools that were homies with this Walter is going to turn around and try to get me and this Walter because that's their homeboy. See, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't use their first mind. Understand that paperwork is not everything. And understand that if you don't see paperwork yourself, keep it to yourself. Don't go on social media boasting about paperwork on somebody and have never seen it yourself, because that shit will get you caught up. Understand, if you're in prison, and I'm telling you this shit for somebody that's on the street, when you're dealing with all types of individuals, you can't just run off at the mouth and just because you heard something and say this fool got paperwork on this fool, because that shit's gonna fall back on you. Oh, well, a lot of times the fools that you tell is gonna go tell this fool like, hey, fools, people say they got paperwork on you. What? Who said this? They don't want to do nothing to this fool because that's their homeboy. So then be like, oh, this fool told me that such and such had paperwork on you. So they turn around. Now you thought you were being that stand-up guy that, you know, trying to, oh, I'm putting forth my effort, and you're going to end up turning around and being the victim. I've seen it happen a gang of times. People think that they're doing something by saying certain things. Like if it's the popular thing to say, oh, this fool, you know, I heard this fool locked it up over here. Well, if you didn't see him lock it up, don't speak on it, because if you speak on it in prison, you're going to have to handle it. If you feel that strongly about an individual, you're going to have to handle your business. That's why a lot of people that have no paperwork on any individual, they keep their mouth shut, because at the end of the day, it's going to fall to them to handle their business. Nobody else is going to go out of their way to put work on the motherfucker that they don't know for a fact did certain things. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. If I don't see your paperwork and it didn't say so, I'm not doing nothing. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. I need to know exactly what I'm getting myself into, because a lot of individuals in prison have lost their life for saying certain things that were untrue. There's a lot of fools that say something, and the same fool that they talk about come back and blast them. So it's like, it's one of those things you got to be really careful on how you maneuver and how you say things. So when it comes to social media, like I said, I put this shit on my IG about what's all in my DM talking about this fool got paperwork on this fool got paperwork on this fool. At the end of the day, if you know the individual and you feel so strongly about it, handle your business. And that's not telling you to do anything, but obviously you want to see the individual get hurt. So if you feel that strongly about them, do it yourself. A lot of fools get caught up like that too. It's like, oh yeah, hey, this fool, because they don't want to handle their own business, or they feel jealousy towards another man. So what they do is pump up some youngster that's a little feeble-minded or willing to just put in work, and they send him on that mission. Then in the end, that shit turns out to be bullshit. It comes back on him, and he end up getting killed. Why? Because this individual didn't like that fool and didn't have enough balls to go handle it himself. A lot of fools get twisted like that. That's how a lot of fools ended up on them 2 5-yards, running their mouth. Some of them didn't even run their mouth. Some of them got somebody hated on them, and they ended up on that yard because they couldn't beat it. It's like a river going against an ocean. You cannot beat it. Prime example, it's like this one dude. No need to say his name because I'm sure everybody know him. But he mentioned something about 5,000 people that were 2 5s. 5,000 people in Los Angeles ain't shit. You know how many fucking gangbangers are in LA? How many gangbangers in OC? How many gangbangers in IE, San Diego? I don't care. You can go Camarillo. You can go all into. You can go everywhere in California. There's so many gangbangs. So 5,000 ain't shit. So you know that when I see people boast about numbers of that's not substantial. That's not even. Some people have like fucking 5 times that in their gang. So. You know what I mean? That's just what I'm saying. It goes to show you when people talk about certain things, sometimes that's how they get caught up. It's like The moral of the story is this: don't speak on another individual unless you're willing to handle yourself. Don't pawn it off on nobody else. Don't try to smut people up, because that smut will come back on you. It's that easy. See, a lot of fools do that, and then it comes back on them. Oh yeah, well, I heard this fool did this. Now they're all up in arms because they're like, fuck, somebody said I did this. And now, because they know individuals are feeble-minded, it's going to take it serious. Like, oh yeah, I heard you did this. It's the same way fools with me. Like, oh yeah, Zod ran with the Crips, or Zod ran with the Bloods, like stupid shit. But knowing that we can't do that, like switching up is a death sentence, but they'll still try to put it out there. Oh, I was with this fool in fucking Vacaville. But it's funny because I got all my paperwork from the time I entered to the time I left, and that's the smart thing. When you like me, you stand out, and if you've been to enough places, a lot of people. There's people that still don't think I got it. They still think I'm incarcerated. That's how I used to be. I used to be in jail so much that people thought I was still incarcerated. But that's besides the point. All I'm going to say like this. The moral of the story is, if you don't have paperwork on the individual, don't say nothing. If you're not willing to handle your business, don't say nothing. Don't go whisper to him and him and him and him, because it will come back on you. Do your paperwork. If there's no paperwork, keep your mouth shut, because that shit will get you caught up. You don't speak on another man. If it's not about you or it doesn't harm you in some way, you keep your mouth shut. Now, if this fool is trash and you're still thinking with that mentality, then of course you're gonna put him out there. You may grab your balls and go do it yourself, but understand, a lot of fools are gonna get washed up this year for that. It's always gonna fall to the youngsters to handle their business. Vatos like me are older, so unless it's like direct in our face, we're not doing nothing about it. We stay away from certain situation because it doesn't benefit us. It's just acting to get in trouble. Now, it always in every generation falls to the youngster to clean the trash up. Right now, like all the 2-5s running around doing this, acting wild. Understand that shit, it always happens. It happens in every generation. But understand, there's always going to be a group of people that's going to start cleaning motherfuckers up. These fools that's on the internet boasting about doing this and they run here, a lot of these fools are going to get caught up. When you want to change your life and you no longer want to deal with the situation, you don't go get jumped into another organization. It's like getting out of one gang because you want to change your life and then go get jumped into another gang. That shit makes absolutely no sense. You're going backwards, not forwards. And a lot of these fools that be boasting on the internet about who they are, these cats are going to eventually get caught up, and they're just going to bring it on themselves. The funny thing is, it's not going to just involve, it never involves just the individual. It's always somebody's family's involved, or maybe you're in a car with a certain individual that has nothing to do with nothing, and he ended up getting killed because you were doing this. That's all I'm saying. Your boy Zod always going to shoot it from the hip. I'm always going to keep it real. I'm always going to be fucking me. And it's just the way it is. The same way when I talk about politics as far as Democrats and conservatives. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think, all the Democrats are on our side. I'm not here to judge them. I'm not here to crucify them. I do feel more, towards a conservative view, but it's just, and even certain things they do I don't like, but that's what an individual does. He picks his sides. He not necessarily picks his sides, but he chooses to follow what he think is right. Don't talk about motherfuckers unless you're going to handle your business. And I'm not telling you to go do shit. I'm just telling you it's best just to keep your mouth shut and keep your distance. Because soon as you start talking, there's always somebody that it gets to. You know what I mean? It's just always like that. You always got to be careful on who you talk to, who you tell. For me, if you got paperwork on somebody and you feel that strongly, go handle your business. If not, just live your life, man, because I'm telling you, you will fucking end up in that cage washed up, and the work that you put in won't mean shit. Because it's a gang of motherfuckers that did the same thing. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry it took so long, you know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? That's one thing I feel passionate about. Not speaking on shit unless you're going to handle your business, and don't speak on shit unless you know for a fact it took place. Other than that, I'm your boy Zod. Keep that shit real, you know what I mean? Hopefully this war doesn't last too long, but it is what it is, Sabes. But yeah, I'm out.
They'll probably say, where exactly are you going with this? I see you really trying to take it there. Old school flows chew you out, ain't fair. Jordan Pants don't